Welcome back, everybody. We're live and we're casting Zenith versus MUFC. This is the GEST Dota 2 semifinals, and gods, this is a pretty exciting series. Game 1 was a stomp going one way, Game 2 a stomp back the other, and now we come to that deciding game number 3. Of course, this tournament brought to you by DotaTalk.com, presented to you by Beyond the Summit. But gods, we have ourselves a rather interesting draft to start things off.
Yeah, this GEST has brought some very entertaining games so far. Even the one-sided games. Game number 1, one of those painful games to watch, but just a pure art-of-war type style of play with the strategies being executed to perfection. Here we are. Finally, Zenith MUFC Game 3, the decider, and, well, they're back to Team Zenith. They're going with their proper name, so it looks like Zenith, they mean business here in Game 3.
Yeah, no more messing around. No more 1v5. No more, stand-ins. Ice is here. Ice is, well, him and HY playing for really every team in Southeast Asia now. They do get around. But we're inside of an interesting draft, and, as we look at these two teams, we see MUFC getting a ton of lockdown, Zenith getting a stally type of lineup, but also a lineup that can fight pretty effectively, and I think they're going to have a lot more answers for the push of MUFC if MUFC try to go that way. And along those lines, Zenith, a little bit concerned about it anyway. They ban out the Lycan and the Lone Druid. I feel like they could deal with these heroes, but they just don't want to have to. They want to make their lives a little bit easier, a little bit simpler.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, well, we know they like these heroes. This is what they're comfortable with. Even if we think we've got the heroes to split push and deal with it, why take the chance? And MUFC, their first 3 picks is pretty typical MUFC. They get a lot of chain disable, they get a lot of burst damage so that they can get kills and dominate the early game laning stage, and also have the ability to take team fights come mid-game with the Sanking Epicenter. We saw Ling last game playing such a solid long lane Sanking, something which will be a lot harder to do this game without that Lone Druid Spirit Bear being there to pull the creep wave to him and his tower.
Yeah, let's see how they choose to combo them. They do have the laning versatility, of course, with that Darkseer. I hope we see a farming Leshrac this game. Either that or a farming Sanking, but I am damn tired of seeing teams like MUC run both of these as supports, and they are definitely guilty of doing it in the past. And I gotta say, it works once in a while, but it's a relatively rare thing to work out. The heroes need levels, they need farm, and they just are not that useful without them. So we'll see how they play it, but with this kind of draft, they definitely have room for one of these to be a farmer, to even be a solo, well, they go for a Storm.
Hey,
there's your Tinker
very
counter.
Aggressive.
This is
very aggressive, high ganking style of play coming out of MUFC, I want to say. They've got the burst damage to follow it up. They've got the disables to follow it up. They've already got the Rubik there, which is generally their solo mid for Ohio. So maybe this is going to be a safe lane Storm Spirit being played by Ken, so they're not going to go for any hard carry type of play, type of hero. Or if they really want to do something with a bit of DPS as their last pick, they could even try catch Zenith a bit by surprise and get something like a Broodmother with their last pick.
Broodmother, well, you are up against Darkseer. Now you're up against a hero that tends to make Broodmother a little unhappy, but you expect Darkseer.
It's still possible.
It's possible. It's possible. I want to point out there is a Disruptor on the side of Zenith, which it can definitely hard counter that Storm if the positioning is proper. Send him back and just suddenly all his mana has been wasted and he's not in a position to get a kill.
Yeah, it's a nifty little hero to have against this, but as far as the Sanking, Leshrac, and the Rubik, those trio of heroes, they're not going to be too worried about Disruptor, at least in the early game laning stage. Disruptor doesn't bring much to the table in a duel or a tri-lane, so it's something where Zenith, they want to play Disruptor as much like we saw last game, as a support in the jungle, going for some early pulls, early farming. And MUFC, they ran off their lineup with an Omni Knight. EG love running this as an offlane solo, so I want to say MUFC maybe taking a page from EG's book and going to be going with that side lane solo Omni Knight, and we may have the dreaded Sanking Leshrac as the 2 supports. Although it could be an Omni Knight support. DK have been playing Omni Knight as a support. Long DD's been, so not Long DD, I guess Tong Fu's been playing it as a support, with Long DD playing a support Omni Knight. So both ways are possible, and it'll be interesting to see how MUFC want to do this.
Obviously, this combo is going to be devastating. Either the Repel, onto any of these heroes, but mainly the Storm and the Leshrac. You can forego a BKB, or you can pick up a Morphling. Zenith go for a forgotten relic of a bygone age from about a month and a half ago. I have not seen this hero be successful at all. I haven't seen anyone pick him in Dota 2 since the patches, gods. Can they make him work?
Oh, I hope so. I'd love to see him work. I'd love to have Zenith prove that, hey, this hero doesn't suck. I think it's a hero that just got nerfed, and it got nerfed badly enough that everyone just said, okay, forget about Morphling, it's no longer good. No one even, very few teams even tried to play it or pick it still, and I think with good reason. I think it is a hero that's much weaker than it once was, but as a late in the draft kind of carry pick, it has some merits in. We're going to see if Zenith can make it work. It looks like Ice 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 going to be on that. No, XY playing the Morphling, so where is Ice 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 going? Maybe onto that off-lane Darkseer.
Yeah, the one thing about Morphling right now is he's not a good solo mid because he still can escape with Morph. His waveform's still good for farming. We are going to have a remake. His issue is that it's all too expensive. It just costs too much mana. You use your Morph once for a couple of seconds, use a waveform. You're back to base pretty much, even with multiple bottle crowing. I mean, this is just my experience anyway. I was getting runes as solo mid, and I still never had mana, and I was barely morphing. It's that increasing the cost from 20 to 30, it actually feels a lot more expensive than, it's 50% more. It seems like only 10 mana, not a big deal, but it really does add up, and we just haven't seen him picked at all. In the late game, I feel Morphling is still mostly the same hero. You can't cast while you're waveforming, so you can't go for that like super aggressive Ethereal Blade and just safely kill off heroes or replicate out right as you're waveforming, and you have to be a little bit more cautious. I don't think he's a horrible hero, but he needs a safe lane farm to me, and unless they have some really weak mid, and well, now they're going with TI3 champs, so there you go. They're feeling confident.
Well, they are feeling very confident with their Morphling pick. Apparently, by the time TI3 comes back around, the Dota 2 metagame will have gone full circle, and it'll be every team picking Morphling once again. So TI3 champs preparing with this Morphling strategy, and I definitely agree. It's not a hero who can solo mid anymore. He's definitely being relegated to a safe. And I think he just gets sort of outclassed by other characters, especially with some of these newly buffed heroes like Drow Ranger. I think will just be much more powerful and potent as a carry than Morphling now.
She's a little too potent, which is why we see her auto-banned from CM at the moment. So this is why we had the remake odds. It's because they were not tagged up properly. They need to be a champion. They need to be the TI3 champs, not old, used-up Zenith. This is a new squad. This is a new team. And, well, they do have a bit of a new roster. We'll see how things work out. This is an interesting lineup, to say the least. Now, on paper, Morphling could be... He's not a bad carry in the sense that MUFC are all about ganking and getting pickoffs, and Morphling still, especially once he gets a couple items, he's still really annoying to try and bring down. So in that sense, it gives you a hero that's going to take 3 or 4 to kill after the laning stage.
Yeah, I think his nerfs, they limit his laning stage ability, but the ganks come mid-game is still just as hard. Storm Spirit, one of those heroes who is pretty useful for ganking him with an Orchid. If you go that as your first item, which is what a lot, especially some of the Asian players like to do, you just go zip in, you silence, and then you can focus him down. The one item which Morphling may have to get is going to be that Lincoln Sphere. I feel the Morphling with the current changes has to go for a much safer type of build. You can't just look to rush the Ethereal Blade as your first item. You need either a Lincoln Sphere, a BKB, some form of survivability as your first item or two.
I absolutely agree with you. And, speaking of heroes who can cast while they're moving, either through their waveform, or in this case, Storm Spirit, he can cast that Orchid, he can use his abilities while he's zipping in, and that makes it really tough for Morphling. I agree. I think Lincoln Sphere, it was always a good item on Morphling, but I feel it's pretty much core now, just because he really needs the additional mana. With the changes to Morph, it gets really expensive. So on the side of Zenith, we have XY playing the Forgotten Relic, the Morphling. We have Sawamon on the Earthshaker, X-Freedom with 4 wards. You can see this is a team that wants to get their Morphling very fat and have him very safe, and he'll be heading top. Kane as the solo mid Tinker, and our off-lane player may be this Darkseer, or he may just be jungly. They may abandon that off-lane, but it's Ice, Ice, Ice on the Darkseer.
Well, the Radiant side, the pick that people are probably excited to see. Storm Spirit is going to be going mid. It is in the hands of a higher. We've got Rubik being played by Ling. He is going to be playing the jungle Rubik, what we saw Ancient Apparition doing last game, using those pools near mid lane. He's got that Quelling Blade, cutting down all those trees, and it looks like are they throwing away top lane? Sharky playing the Omnat, he's gone for boots first, maybe their off lane player. Ken's playing the Leshrac, and then you've got Sand King in the hands of 10 net. So it is going to be a farming Leshrac, and this is something we haven't seen much of, but I always enjoy seeing farming Leshracs.
Well, and especially, I just feel like when we've seen Yamate be so effective with it, his win rate with that farming Leshrac is pretty damn high, and You know, the hero, sure, Edict's got that cast animation, but it's pretty much the same hero. It's still a very powerful farmer. And in this lineup, when you have Repel, you can skip BKB. You can go straight for a Bloodstone, straight for, you know, a Force Staff, whatever sort of utility items, whatever sort of tank items you want. And TI3 champs, they don't really have a natural Diffusal Blade carry. I suppose Morphling could, but it's not really the best item on him.
Yeah, so Sharky at top lane with the first item boots, this will help him out against this trial lane, and it's not really a trial lane you can force him out that easily at level 1. Freedom can just look to trade hits a bit with him, but with boots up on Omni Knight, he can just go in and just trade hits pretty well. The boots allow him to not get kited as easily as he otherwise would, and Sharky finds some XP range at this top lane. So XY, we'll see how he does. He'll be able to free farm, but it's just a matter of not being able to keep Sharky out of this lane with the somewhat passive support of a Disruptor.
I think we found our key points for Zenith. Pull, 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 pull some more. Look at this. Just they actually missed one of them up, but they were trying to stack that small cap as well. Just an endless pulling. It's just amazing to watch. And this is coming from you and I, who've cast a lot of Chinese Dota. These guys make the Chinese look like they hate pulls. This is every game. It's 3-4 camps being stacked from the 1 minute mark.
I think they take it a bit over the top, which is the Chinese, they do it in moderation, but nope, these guys are like, nah, we need more. And, well, for Zenith, it's how they want to get farm and levels on their supports heroes, although we kind of saw the downside of it last game when they pulled too much, and it was suddenly like, oh wait, we've got a support hero who's level 2, level 3, but how do we actually kill these pulls? And that's something which isn't as big an issue when you're on the dire side. It's much easier to pull the small camp as well as this medium camp, which Earthshaker is doing, and they're just looking to get those early levels and not worry too much about zoning out the MUFC solo heroes.
Absolutely. And Hastern picked up top by Freedom, who still has 2 Observer Wards and a Sentry Ward. Morphling didn't actually skill anything at level 1. He was... Normally you'll see just, you know, that early point in Morph, get some extra agility, ensure your last hitting, but he is farming quite well, 12 and 8, and this has not changed about Morphling. He is a great farming hero. Very good at last hitting. He hasn't really used Morph too much yet, but he still has enough damage. XY hit last hitting pretty much every creep on the other side of the map. So too is Ken, 15 and 6 and 15 and 8 respectively. That massive creep score we see from Ice, well, it's actually quite a bit. He's already level 4. He's tied up with the solos, and now at level 4, maybe he feels confident enough to head down to that bottom lane, or maybe not. Looks like he is just getting a Soul Rain. You know, GoDz, one reason we might see him in the jungle, there is a lot of lockdown in this lane. Sandkey Leshrac is one of those lanes that you can just kill a Darkseer, even if he surges, just Burrow Strike Split Earth. It's so much chain stun and it's so much burst damage.
Yeah, they have the ability to do it, so Darkseer doesn't want to just go down there by himself. He brings the Earthshaker as well, so there is backup for him. They're going to go in immediately. Earthshaker drops a fist of the chain stun's already there from Ice.
Ken is almost dead, the creep! No, it doesn't cooperate.
Somehow keeps himself alive there, and MUFC, they dodge a bullet. What they aren't realizing is that this small camp, which Rubik has been pulling, has now been blocked off. Disrupted did a bit of a drive-by where he just got picked up a haste rune, zipped through the neutrals, put down an observer ward, and then went back to the top lane. So it's now blocked out, and that makes it a bit harder for Rubik to find places to farm.
He is a Raptor. I'm not sure how he actually fits himself into a car, but somehow he does it. He drives by, and then he hops out of that car and starts pulling some more top. Sharky is level 2. You mentioned how they can't really keep him out of lane. They can't really kill him. But because he went boots first, he's a bit lacking on regen. He does have, you know, purification. He's not going to have his Soul Ring soon. Once Omni Knight gets a Soul Ring, then you have to kill him or he's just never leaving the lane. But he doesn't have one yet. He's probably not farming one soon. We may see him have to take a Fountain Trip or 2. There's a Fissure Block on bottom lane. They could look to go in Ken, but the tower is really helping him out. Hero tower, to say the least. Meanwhile, middle lane, some blows being traded. And this is the one lane which seems like it's both of these here are so important for controlling the flow of the game. And Ohio is actually having the edge. Generally, Tinker wins this matchup. But he's gone for March. He hasn't gone, oh, first blood bottom. While I'm babbling about that. Looks like Darkseer got picked off by 3. How do you feel about him going for this March build, though, GoDz? Up against a hero like Storm, you can just win your lane pretty easily with laser rockets.
Even just the 1 point in laser. A lot of Tinkers will just go 1 in laser, 1 in rocket, and then start maxing out March as well as rockets. The 1 point in laser, just for the miss rate, makes it very easy to win this lane against Storm, but he hasn't opted for that. He's looking to just have that heavy defensive capabilities, the ability to just push back and defend towers, and we'll see how MUFC, with this Stormstreet having more farm, they can control this mid game a lot better.
King does have the bottle up. He's got about 800 gold. We'll see what he spends it on. Probably Have the Ancients been stacked? They haven't been stacked at all. And, you know, all those small camps being pulled and stacked, but the thing they probably really want to stack is the Ancients. They've got March. That's the whole point of the build. Is sure, it's nice anti-push, but it's mostly just about that early farm. Zipping in his Storm. This could be a kill going the other way. Burrow striking through. Once again, this Sand King is working out for MUFC. Gotta dodge those machines. 10 juking his way through the march.
I feel like I'm watching Uther Party. If you played Uther Party in the Warcraft 3, it's one of the custom games where you have to like, there's all these different custom games, and you just gotta dodge little things coming your way, like weave in and out. And well, Sand King showed some impressive dodging skills there, as if he got hit by one or two more, he was going down. And it's bottom lane. Ice. Oh, telekinesis. Stun actually misses. The stun doesn't land on Ice, saving his life. Edict gets popped, but there's no follow-up damage, so MUFC miss out on the kill there on the Darkseer.
They do, and you can see how easy it is to kill that Darkseer, especially with the Rubik there, but even without him, just Burrow Strike Split Earth usually is enough. Top lane, they go into Sharky. This is a hero that can't be killed very easily. This is a hero that just, maybe with the Fissure, but that's it. Bottom lane, they dive back in. Going on to Swam on Fissure is there, but Ken will pick up the kill with that Edict splashing through. And I just don't know about the aggression from this bottom lane from Zenith. You know, it's one thing to rotate those two heroes down, another thing to be this aggressive. And another kill mid. There's action everywhere. They're even diving top as well, but not able to get Omni Knight.
And it's 4-0 in MUFC's lead right now. Finding kills all over the net. They're keeping Omni Knight alive. He's slowly and steadily getting closer and closer to that soul ring, even with only just the one creep kill. It's all about just getting that passive gold, not giving away kills. Morphling, though, 44 and 25. He's up there, out farming the Leshrac by about 10 creeps here, but alone, I feel it's not the same Morphling. That's the one difference. You can't just have Morphling carry the game on his own, which was the case before, but now it's more a case where you have to have damage disables. Everyone has to be contributing if you want to play with a Morphling pick, and right now, Zenith with their solos, their Darkseer getting picked off a couple times, Tinker getting picked off twice as well. This is not the start Zenith would have liked to see.
They do have a good turtling lineup. They do have a very strong defensive lineup, and especially this Earthshaker pick is going to really limit the options for MUFC. Now, of course, there is Repel and Storm Spirit to kind of bypass that, but all hope is not lost for Zenith. They just kind of have to buckle down, play defensively. And as far as your comment about Morphling goes, I completely agree, but if the game goes long enough, there will come a point where I think XY can just carry it by himself, but it's not like the old Morphling where you could carry the game at, you know, the 20-minute mark. It's that 30, 40-minute mark where then, if he's big, he starts to become a real problem.
Yeah, and he needs to be out-farming the opposing team's carry as well. With MUFC, they don't really have a carry, which is good news for the Morphling. The one hero who can maybe be somewhat of a semi-carry if he gets ridiculously farmed is a higher on this Storm Spirit. So we'll see where he wants to go with his item build. If he goes for items like the Orchid, just designated to help counter the Morphling, or if he just goes for the more standard more standard Bloodstone type Sheepstick build.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how he chooses to build. I mean, even rushing something. I mean, you probably want something for HP. You could get just like a Vitality boost or a point booster, and then maybe just go for a lockdown item. You know, an Orchid could be an option, a Sight Device as well. And they have a couple of heroes in the Storm and Leshrac who can definitely build additional lockdown items, and that will be important just to give them a little bit more ganking and killing power. For now, they're a bit reliant on the Storm zipping in to start things off. Omni Knight is really not being shut down at all, though. This is a concern.
And giving the farm to Leshrac over Sand King means they don't have that initiation. They're looking to shut him down now. They brought Tinker in. Tinker's going to say, oh crap, here's a Sand King, here's a Rubik. They just go flying in. XY Morphling, he's morphing streak. That's the power of Morphling. He's still a strong contender. Sand King goes down as well. The gank gets entirely turned around. 2 kills to Tinker, and XY lives. This is the power of Morphling. You can't easily gank him. He just morphs to strength, and he says, well, that's not going to work, guys. Gets a tower as well. He's going straight BKB.
That was also the power of Kinetic Field and March the Machines. That was a lot of AoE. And Repel is not going to help you against that. Omni Knight, level 6, but gods, he skipped his ult. He just didn't feel he had the mana pool to support it, I believe. And I think that ult would have made quite a difference there. Sure, it doesn't block magical damage, but it gives you a lot of extra heal, and the auto attacks wouldn't be hitting you really for anything. So, well, interesting choice. MUFC overextended. What was a 4-0 game is now a 4-3 game.
Yep, it was flying at mid. It's a high who goes in on an Earthshaker illusion, which is actually the Morphling. Morphling then replicates in, and they're looking to turn this around. Oh, Uh-oh, 10. Actually, he gets helped out by the vacuum. He manages to dodge the waveform thanks to the vacuum, but the chase is still on. XY decides against it, so...
Look at the mana pool. Look at Morphling. He's got to go back to Fountain again. It's...
Yeah.
Oh, but he's gonna fight a regenerate, so never mind that. He should have had to though. That is the issue with the new morph. It's pretty damn expensive.
It's chews through a lot there, and now we can see MUFC have grouped up heavily at mid lane, and Storm Spirit gets baited in by an illusion. So that's kind of what you want to be doing if you're Zenith here, just having Storm Spirit waste his time, waste his mana on not getting kills, and buy time for your carries to farm. Not just morphing as a carry. Heroes like Darkseid, you want to get up the fast mech or the fast Python. Heroes like the Earthshaker, you just want some arcane boots, you want the levels, and then you need the boots of travel on King on that Tinker.
He's gonna have them soon unless they gank him, and well, even when he has them though, this is a lineup that can easily get to him with the Storm, with the Repel, and something good, I assume, stolen. It's the level 4 Ion Shell, and now the zip in onto Ice Ice Ice. Repel is there, is helping to keep the Storm alive. Burrow striking through the kinetic field, static Storm. Freedom is playing a sensational... Oh man, what a play by this Disruptor. Picking off 2, now glimpsing in the 3rd. He may single-handedly get 3 kills for his team. Ohio is trapped. Ohio is about to be very sad, and Disruptor... Freedom, to me, is just single-handedly winning these fights for his team right now.
Yeah, that was impressive. First at top lane, now at mid lane. And it's going to be possibly a tier 1 tower as well off of this. Morphling got the tier 1 top tower. He's going to maybe get this mid tower as well. And that's a ton of gold with all those kills. Oh no, it's not his BKB. He's got his Mithril Hammer. The boots of travel up on the Tinker. Zenith, they are going to be pushed back at mid lane by the looks of things. They're harassing Sharky heavily. And making it really hard for MUFC to fight. You can see the power of Tinker. It's become sort of one of Zenith's just bread and butter heroes.
Wow, XY gets the kill.
That's a lot of damage.
That is a big kill. There was a Repel, I believe there was a Purification, but it just came too fast. He didn't have it by the time he could cast it. He was dead mid-cast animation. Ay. This is... All of a sudden, Zenith have just created a lot of space for themselves. It's not just those kills, gods. It's the after effects, or the aftershocks of those kills, which is MUFC not feeling confident, not wanting to dive towers, and that means time for the Morphling, time for the Tinker, time for this whole squad that needs a lot of farm to get it.
Well, until that fight at mid, the good news to MUFC was that they're
Oh no, not again! Epicenter on the replicate again!
Oh no,
these replicates. And he's gonna die.
Gonna go down. No, magic one.
Oh!
Lestrak goes down. Lestrak goes down the bottom lane. Darkseid gets a solo kill on Lestrak, and well, things just suddenly falling apart somewhere for MUFC. The Storm Spirit picks up his first death at mid lane. Now Lestrak at bottom lane, and until then it was going well for them. Even with the few kills they were giving up, they still had their 2 core heroes. The Storm Spirit, Lestrak doing well, but 2 subsequent deaths on those 2 heroes, and suddenly Zenith, they've got an advantage.
Yeah, they do, and it's been such a chaotic game, but let's take a look at the gold graph. It's been topsy-turvy, a tiny lead for MUFC, but now a big lead going the way of Zenith, sitting just under 3,000 gold. Ohio does have his first Oblivion staff up. He has been neutered a little bit, but once you get that Orchid, there is going to be a window of time in this game, I feel. You can't kill the Morphling, but the other heroes will be vulnerable. Morphling will have his BKB by that point. As for experience, similar story, around 2,500. Sharky gets caught out mid, will repel himself, doesn't heal first. He's going to drop low to the auto tech, should be okay. In comes the backup. They are devoting a lot of time just to try to save one hero, their off-lane Omni Knight. Meanwhile, Morphling's farming one lane, Darkseid's backstabbing another. Zenith again just being more efficient. What we saw in game 1, Ohio catches up Freedom, wants to kill him off. Will he be able to do so? Static Storm on 3, Hero Freedom doing it again. He will get Burrow Strike, he will get rocketed down, but he sets up a kill for his team. And that was 4 heroes just to kill the damn support. Not what you're hoping for. More rockets coming in, backstab from Ice Ice Ice. No Ion Shell just yet. Freedom he's putting on a clinic as this this Disruptor. This reminds me of Faith at the International.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. The decision to run back into his own ultimate, and then suddenly MUFC are like, holy crap, what do we actually do to this? Sanking, he was all in for the kill. The rest of his team were just a bit confused and decided to run for it. They trade kills, but Disruptor, amazing decision making, and that's a 4-man gank or something, just getting completely turned around. MUFC, Ken trying to get this T1 tower. Edict, the glyph actually going to prevent him from getting this T1 tower. That's going to get denied, and Ken needs to back off. He needs to be careful, as this could be his death if he's not careful.
Oh, he doesn't want to, guys. You can smell that desire. There will be a repel. He could dive this. Can they deny it in time? Repel that Leshrac. He's going to charge in. Look for the Edict kill. Oh, maybe just the auto attack. He's got to get it. He will pick it off. Nice play by him. Oh, but it takes some epic work just to get that tower. King charging in. DD Morphleet is here with the BKB on its way on the courier right now. And Zenith aren't going to waste any time. They want to start just abusing this March of the Machines and pushing mid, or at least keeping the pressure up. This is Zenith Dota. It's just constant pressure on all the lanes. When they're winning games, this is how they do it.
Oh, absolutely. And Ice very close to his pipe. He looks like he just needs another 200-300 gold. Then Zenith teamfights, it starts to look pretty scary. They've got King, who's got his boots of travel, his soaring. He's going to want to start building out towards either his Force Staff or his Blink Dagger, depending which one he wants to go for. And from there on out, it's MUFC just don't have the heroes to outlast a Tinker in the teamfights. I mean, it's entirely relying on Storm Spirit to get a pick off on Tinker, but that's not all that easy. We've seen him struggle so far.
Ice gets Fissure blocked, but actually vacuums his way out through the trees. Surging the Omni Knight forward. There is no heal bomb, though. And now the Burrow Strike. They are so tired of Ice, and they should be able to pick him off. They barely clip him. In comes XY. Wants to turn this around. Tinker is here as well. Glimpsing one back into the kinetic field. That'll be the death of the Surge Rubik. Not able to escape. XY running back and forth, just not really sure where he wants to go. Now onto the Sand King. Storm has finally arrived. No Orchid yet, but he should get the kill. A nice heal bomb onto the Storm. Dropping low. All his mana just to get that one kill on the Tinker, but does secure it. Fissure all the way up and down the cliff. Morphling finishes that off. When it's all said and done, pretty even trades. Ken pushing top. Score is now 11-8. Ugh, what a crazy game, and we're only 17 minutes in. This is the GEST Dota 2. This is the deciding game number 3 to see who will be going to that grand finals where $1,500 in prizes await.
Yeah, $1,500 in prize. Also, Orange Esports are awaiting, so a tough opponent, but an opponent both these teams are capable, on their good days, of beating. So it's by no means an unwinnable match, and we'll see. MUFC Zenith, they're still fighting out. This is just a complete bare knuckle boxing. This is getting messy. This is, I mean, I'd say at times sloppy, but mostly it's just both teams reacting so well to what the other is doing. Fissure being stolen by Rubik at the mid lane. As far as spells to steal at this point in the game, Fissure probably one of the best for Rubik. Maybe you could argue Waveform is another useful one to have, but Fissure as a defensive or setup spell is just fantastic.
At some point, he definitely wants to get his hands on that Morph stats. Would love to be sitting on 1400 HP. Yeah. That's something we actually saw a lot of in that previous patch in the games leading up to and at the International. Haven't seen it yet, but at some point we probably will. But you're right, Fissure is a huge spell to steal. Here's the concern, though. The Darkseer is about to get a pipe, and MUFC are very reliant on magical damage, and they've got a BKB on their Morphling. It's going to be hard to find kills. They need to just chain everything perfectly.
Yeah, the items Zenith are slowly picking up. You've got Earthshaker sitting on 1,200 gold, going to be looking at a BKB sometime in the future. Probably Darkseer just goes for the mech after the pipe. Interesting he goes for the pipe before the mech when they don't really have any mech by here. Maybe Freedom will look to get one now that he's got his urn up, but for Zenith, it's going to look scary. When they get Morphling up another big item, maybe he starts his Ethereal Blade. I think he just goes damage here, though.
Ice vacuums the... Just a second off. Actually vacuum the Rubik down into the river, but then the Glimpse was a second.
3 hero stun. Sand King. Net hits 3 with the stun, follows up with an Epi Center. He gets 2. Storm Spirit gets the last, and there we go. MUFC have found the opening they're after, and it's come from Net once again. Well, not once again. Last game it was Ling. This game it's Net on the Sand King, hitting 3 with the Burrow Strike, and then Ahio just goes zipping in, ensures the kills.
And now he's got a Blink. Didn't even need it in that last fight. They're going to find Kin as well. This is Zenith just, we talked about how do you bypass that March of the Machines? How do you get into the middle of enemy lines? How do you just jump them? This is how you do it with the Storm and now soon to be with the Blink Dagger on the Sand King. Plus, you do have that Repel, which doesn't make you immortal or immune to what they bring to bear. They do have some good physical damage from Morphling, but he's not with the team. He is that 1+4 kind of hero still. At least that's how Zenith has played him, and that creates some openings for the rest of the team.
Yeah, for the time being, it is.
Oh, Ken.
MUFC. He gets out.
Repel will last. He'll be able to get out.
And he's got his Bloodstone if he wants to. He can disassemble his Arcane Boots if he can just keep his Arcane Boots and buy one regardless. But Bloodstone is going to be up on Ken, and from there he wants to try to get a BKB up as fast as possible. But MUFC, they've got some decent items of their own coming along. It's not just going to be all about Zenith getting up a Blink Dagger on Earthshaker. Still no 4-stuff on the Tinker, so Tinker's really been slowed down a lot this game, I feel.
He is getting close. Is there anything on the current? Nope, there's not. So it's about 900 gold to go. We'll see if he's able to farm it up. Earthshaker's going to be caught. Smoke is dispelled. This will be another kill. MUFC just coming together and finding pick after pick, really making a stand in this game. And it was a great start for them, 4-0. Then it was Zenith who were leading. This game has been all over the place, and I imagine those graphs are going to reflect it. Up and down and all around we go. GoDz, I thought I was here for Dota. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster.
It is just insane, this game so far. I don't know what is going to be coming along from here on out, but it's still very even. No team really with an obvious lead. And whenever a team seems to start pulling away, getting an advantage, immediately it just gets turned around. It's never really lasted longer than a minute or two. And right now it's MUFC who seem to have the momentum going their way. They're trying to force the issue a bit at mid lane, but they've got XY farming and pushing away at bottom lane, and a farm morphling is not something to be ignored, even with the recent nerfs.
And he's getting really big. Oh, the fight breaks out mid. King's dropping low. Ohio wants to kill him off. Will do so. Now probably going to focus on the Earthshaker. Orchid cooling down. In comes the BKB morphling. Can he find anyone? They glimpse back the Omni Knight, but he repels away from it. Oh, what a play by Sharky. Completely wasting that glimpse, neutering the chasing power, but here's more chase. It's a hasted cow. It's an angry Earthshaker, but where is the follow-up? Where is the lockdown? This team, as far as true chain lockdown GoDz, they are lacking it. They need a sight device on the Tinker. Possibly something like a Yule Scepter could do in a pinch, but they don't have a natural Hex carrier who's getting close, and he dies again. That's going to further delay just the Force Staff alone. And until they have that, what do you do against this MUFC lineup? You just can't seem to kill anyone.
Yeah, I think a lot is relying on this Morphling's late game potential, as well as the fact that they can stall for late game. They've got the Darks here, and with that, their late game is pretty damn powerful. But MUFC, with this team fight of their own, the Repel on the Storm Spirit or the Leshrac, it looks like it's going to be, well, actually, it could be either. Both of those two heroes building a BKB regardless, so we could even see Repels on Sanking when they have BKBs up. But it's a scary mid to late game team fight of MUFCs, even if they don't have the carry there to back it up.
XY, probably, I'm actually not sure. I'm thinking it'll be a Manta style just because he's up against that Orchid. Then again, he does a BKB, and anyway, they're going to go for Sharky. But again, the Repel! You just can't glimpse anyone when Sharky's nearby.
Yeah,
this is annoying.
It's a nice little counter, a semi-counter at least to the Disruptor, and despite how well Freedom has been playing, he's had an amazing game and really kept Zenith in it at times, and it's going to be hard for him to actually find those openings using Glimpse. He's going to have to maybe try find other ways and just look to the silence.
He's stolen it. I think he actually stole it earlier. Now we have a Rubik with 1700 HP. Sure, 0 armor, but that's just a pain in the butt to have to deal with.
Oh, it's worth it. You just need to get them maybe. Do they have? Yeah, they've got a mech up, so you get some plus armor from that when it gets actually popped, and it's going to be a much tanky room. Here they go at top lane. Epicenter blinks down. They want this morphling. They're going to burst him down. Doesn't even get a chance to react. Can't pop the BKB. Can't morph strength in time. Important kill on Morphling.
And they don't have the corresponding blink on the Earthshaker. In they go. They don't even have the wall. Ice is trying to deny the tower. Doesn't do it. Maybe they'll get Net out of this at least. Net gets caught by the Echo, as does Sharky. Now a nice static storm. But where's that kinetic field? Where's that follow-up kinetic field? Not being dropped at all. This entire fight maybe just came off cooldown. Freedom will fall. In comes King, possibly to his own demise. The chasing power of MUFC. Fissure is there, stolen by Rubik. You talked about it. We're seeing it again. Net blinks forward. Now doesn't have mana for Burst Strike. Actually just does the Omni ult. They're diving the base. MUFC want to just get a team wipe here. They won't quite be able to do so. But damn, they are just really choosing their spots wisely, and I gotta say, I really would like to see Ice with at least 1 point in the wall at level 12. That feels like something this team really needs.
Oh, they're heavily lacking. Even without a big DPS here on the MUFC side, it's almost just having the illusions as that frontline tank as something to provide a bit of additional DPS. It's just something which is lacking for Zenith, even though there's no direct hero that you want it to counter. But MUFC taking these last few fights and taking that one very convincingly. And with that, you've got Storm Spirit with a BKB. You've got Leshrac very close to a BKB. And Rubik has picked up Fissure again, which is just such a strong spell to have as a Rubik in the mid game.
You know, guys, we're seeing sort of the addition or the other side of the coin, really. When you talk about Morphling, you got to go for the more defensive safe items. You got to get a BKB early. You have to get either that or a Lincoln Sphere quickly. That means you're not rushing an Ethereal Blade, which has the effect of you can't just start the fight 5v4. And you need to be able to start the fight 5v4 when you're up against MUFC's lineup. They're all about fighting as 5. Tons of AoE, tons of chasing power, tons of synergy, lots of spells for Rubik to steal. They all help keep each other alive. They are stronger as a unit than they are. The sum of their parts is stronger than each hero individually. And you know, it's just at a point where Morphling can't find the pick, so it's now feels like he has to get 2 or 3 just straight damage items. And by the time he does that, MUFC, who knows what they'll have. But you know, this is really not the prophecy, but when we talked about the weaknesses of Morphling bottom lane, they go in on the Storm and they burst him down. Well, that's an important kill.
That's one thing Zenith can do. If you get pickoffs like that over the next 5 minutes or so, I'd say Zenith can get back into this game, get Morphling those 2 or 3 big items he needs. Probably looking either Manta Style or Skadi coming with this ultimate, or probably wants to even get both as his next 2 items. Maybe a Butterfly in there as well, but he needs to go for the big right-click damage. This is not going to be an Ethereal Blade nuking style Morphling game. He just needs the survivability and stats that you get from a Skadi, the survivability from the Manta Style split, and that also gives him damage and strong late game potential. So for Zenith, it's all about stalling and taking whatever pickoffs you can get. If Storm gives away kills like that, it really gives Zenith lots of time to get Morphling farmed.
BKB up on the Leshrac, I assume. Yes, BKB on Storm as well. They have all their core items. Now it's about the luxuries. They have. I don't see a single hero that's lacking for a core item. Even Rubik's got some. Omni's now got a 4-staff and a mech of his own. MUFC, pretty solid farm. They're gonna catch out the Replicate. This is something that MUFC, they used an Epicenter on a Replicate before. It will die. It's a little bit harder to tell if it's real or not with the Replicates, because they don't take additional damage. They take the normal amount. Compared to other illusions, which take, you know, 200, 300%. But, yeah, this time, no Epicenter wasted, no harm, no foul. Looks like Morphling is probably going for the Ivskadian. He's not too far off. XY's in the front lines, but can he actually live if they chain stun him? Looks like he'll be okay.
If they chain stun him and there's no immediate fissure coming from Earthshaker, they definitely can. That's what they did earlier at top lane with that Epicenter, so he does need to be careful. At the same time, Zenith need to be pushing out these lanes at least a little bit. Otherwise, MUFC can take pretty easy Roshans, pretty uncontested. Here we go. Earthshaker with a Blink Dagger, though. So, well, it'll help Zenith defend, but it won't be the end all of their problems. They're still going to have plenty of issues to work through to take back this game.
And it's only a level 1 wall from the Darkseer. He is getting close to level 2. Honestly, should probably be a little bit farther back. Remember, there's that Storm, Repel, BKB. However he wants to initiate, he has got his choices. But for the moment, both teams eyeing each other from across the chasm. Nobody committing just yet. Will anyone soon? Replicate is up on XY. Rather heavily agility morphed a little bit. Again, just a tiny bit greedy, a tiny bit eager, and Burrow Strike in on him to start things off. In comes Storm. XY is low. Wall is there. Ice to fall as well. Now the Omni Knight ult. They want to dive to high ground. Echo Slam does almost nothing to this team. 2 BKBs and the Omni Knight ult. They're surviving. Now they are tanking the March, though. That's bringing them low. They will be forced back. Ice has bought back into the game. Wants to give it a second go. Rubik trying to survive. And with the Chant Totem, he might get caught. He gets glimpsed back in. You can't force step out of this. He will fall. They do force a buyback. All in all, oh, and a gem on the floor. That's pretty big, especially at this point in the game. I at least see Darkseer painting it. Did they pick it up? Yes, they did.
Well, that'll help Zenith, but it's still a pretty big team fight that MUFC win. They just lose the Rubik, lose a gem. They kill 3 heroes as well as a buyback in there as well. So MUFC can be happy with that regardless. They can buy another gem. They can just use Sentry Wards if they want it to be dewarding. The gem was just purely for map control. There's no actual other reason that they need the gem up for the time being, and they've done a pretty good job at getting that, except around that Roshan pit, which Zenith will have an easier time contesting now that the gem is on their hands.
And the graphs certainly reflect your point of view. Massive gold lead,
wow.
Over 10k, and you know, this is, what is that, a 25% lead? That is pretty damn big. As we look at experience, it's the same. It's maybe even a little bit bigger, almost 11, 12k for that. Everybody's farmed, and we see it reflected on the graphs, and MUFC, They might not even wait. They might just go again. There is no Echo Slam, although, to be honest, it did nothing. I feel like MUFC may be a bit more reliant on their ults. That March of the Machines will always be there, but even if they don't go for Roche, they are... or the push, maybe they'll go for Roche, maybe they'll just look to keep on out-farming their opponents.
And MUFC don't have huge weights on these ultimates, it's just the main one they're waiting for is that Omni Knight Guardian Angel. That was some ballsy play. Force stuff into the Roshan pit, and I'm not convinced. Well, I don't know. Not entirely sure of the escape route that he took, but it works out for him. We've got a high up to 2.1k gold at bottom lane. We'll see probably a sheep stick coming out from him as his next big item. Maybe even get sort of a mid to late game Bloodstone.
Rubik is going to get picked off, and that's not really how they want to start a fight. Actually, another gem loss. That's 28. Call it a 2,800 gold swing. Now this one, they don't really benefit too much from 2 gems, but it's just another 700 gold wasted by the Radiant. Still, I say MFC is ahead, but you don't want to be giving up too many of these.
Yeah, you do that too much and it'll hurt you. It's going to be it looks like a gank attempt on bottom lane. No, Ohio's there on his own, so he's not going to get this kill. Morphling actually has Replicate been stolen? Yeah, Replicate's been stolen by Rubik. He's got... Or is it? No, that's the Morphling. I get confused. It's a purple dot. So no, it hasn't been stolen. It's just a purple dot. And there we go. They go in at bottom lane. They want this Morphling. Get silenced up, stunned. They actually get XY. This is... I guess the weakness of the new Morphling. I don't even think that's the new Morphling. I think that's just the power of this Orchid on Storm Spirit.
It's also, he used the BKB in the last fight where he really didn't need to. It was on cooldown. It cost him there.
He needs to get up. I mean, Manta Star would be great to actually deal with that Orchid silence. But he wants to get the Skadi first. Probably see a Manta Star coming out afterwards. But he can't afford to just keep getting picked off like that. He's got buyback just, but he definitely does not want to be using that to defend, but he may have to here.
What is Kane building? He's got an Ogre Club. Is this really a BKB on Tinker? Sure, it'll help you, I suppose, when the Storm jumps in, but they need a Hex. They really need lockdown. Otherwise, the enemy team, Storm zips away, Omni ults, you know, the fight just gets flipped on its head. I suppose you can understand the reason behind BKB, but I feel like without a Hex, these guys can't win a fight.
No, I fully agree, and it's going to be MUFC possibly trying to pick up an Aegis and give them even a bigger numbers advantage. So I feel Hex becomes more and more crucial. Ohio gets vision on the high ground with a Remnant, so he can see stuff coming in unless they're smoked up, and, well, it doesn't look like Zenith want to contest this anyways.
This is big. You have a Leshrac who's already got Boots of Travel, Plate Mail, as well as a Bloodstone with 10 charges, so that's basically 2 lives for him. He'll come back right away. Now you can probably get the Aegis to your Storm. You're looking at both of your key heroes who have 2 lives in the next fight, and, well, effectively they might as well. That's going to make it real hard to defend, and, you know, you can even do things like just outlast a Darkseer wall. You know, he drops it, maybe Zenith hold of 1 fight, and then you come back, you have a second round, and you try and go for the win.
Yeah, it's really a very durable MUFC lineup. They've got 4 staffs, they've got Mech on Omni, they've got the ultimate, which is going to be a level 3 Guardian Angel soon, and the heals and just the general survivability of these heroes is really helping them out. 4 stuff on the Rubik as well, so general mobility is just, it's there on all these heroes, and Storm Spirit Voidstone's up, so Sheepstick is going to be coming up, and it's still a couple thousand gold away from that, but it is inside, and that's another way of helping to deal with this Morphling and actually pick him off and kill him.
And the Morphling, you know, who is he going to kill? He's just running. So, but even if he's standing there auto-attacking away, which doesn't... We haven't seen a whole lot of that this game. He's the one being terrorized, but really, who's the easy target on this team? I don't see a single hero.
Oh, and Repel on Sanking, because the Leshrac and Storm Spirit have BKBs, they can afford to put the Repel on Sanking and have him going running in as initiator. And this is very bad for Zenith. Both BKB on Morphling and Darkseer Wall of Replica get used up. I'm surprised MUFC aren't just going mid now with this next group. I guess the wall's still got about 10-15 seconds on it, but they can just look to push on in very soon.
Yeah, maybe the idea is Leshrac push out that bottom lane, then Boots of Travel in mid, although if he does that and he dies, he won't really have that second life to return to the front lines. Could just walk up mid. The wall has expired. I'm with you, GoDz. I think this is the time to do it. You may get better opportunities, but this is a fantastic one. And actually,
There we go.
Storm is going for a Bloodstone of his own. Repel up on the Sand King, zipping in. Here's the fight. This is what they want to do. The wall was stolen and it's dropped the other way. It looks like, yep, that's a Rubik wall. But what a static storm. What a kinetic field. Just absolutely murdering everyone. Buyback from the Tinker. Everyone dropping low. The wall from the Rubik is just murdering this team. They're all falling. They're all dying. Storm still has the Aegis up. They are surviving for the moment. Boy, oh boy, talk about a great spell to steal there.
Well,
And they have plenty of setup to use it.
They somehow didn't make it turn it into a successful team fight. Perfect static storm coming out of the disruptor as well as ES. He hit that big ultimate, the big ultimate he needed, and then Tinker, well, those marks of machines, even at 35 minutes in the game, they still hurt like hell. And well, MUFC, they even throw a few buyback, at least one buyback at that. Zenith, I think, using a buyback of their own, but it's still a hold for Zenith without BKB on Morphling, without the Darkseer ultimate. So that's a good fight for Zenith.
I agree. They didn't get rid of the Aegis, but aside from that, it's about as good as you can expect. And MUFC, you know, you got to wonder, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to crack this defense? Buybacks are on cooldown. Maybe you want to force the fight now. You still have your Aegis. How much later do you want to take this game? Scythe the Vice or, well, sorry, Bloodstone could be up on the Storm Spirits soon. I suppose that could help. Shiva's is next in line. I think for them, it's sort of the same story as the TI or as Zenith, where they really, you know, want those late game hexes. They're going to need them to lock down a hero like Tinker so he doesn't get off 3 layers of March of the Machine. So, you know, Earthshaker doesn't blink in an Echo. How aggressive do they need to be now?
I think the Bloodstone is designed to play for the late game. They're like, okay, we can't just push into the Darkseer wall, the March of the Machine. We need to take this really late game, which is Bloodstone. You got to get more and more charges. It does help you out in the late game, and then the Sheepstick can come later on. On top of that, Bloodstone makes Storm Spirit a lot tankier. Before the Bloodstone, he was sitting on around 1400 HP. This gives him a lot more HP to keep him alive in these fights. If he does get stunned, he can't get burst down as easily.
It will definitely help in that regard. At the same time, his armor's still a tiny bit low, and if once that next item comes out for XY, we are going to see him, if he's able to auto-tech, chewing through a lot of these heroes. Now, there is the Omni Knight ult, of course, but it all depends when it's used, if it's up at the right time. Well, we're going to see a late-game hex out of somebody. It looks like the Sand King. Oh, it might even be an Assault Cuirass on the Shrek. Okay, no, he's gone back for a point booster, so maybe just an Aghanims. Maybe just more raw HP for him and just a casual plate mail. But it's a hex coming soon for Sand King, so that's where they're going to get their hex from. It's from these ultra farm supports.
Wow, it does seem that way, and it's it's going to be late game support play is both Rubik as well as Sand King having a big impact here. Sand King, Sheepstick very close to coming up. Rubik, he's not going anywhere near a Sheepstick, but just the 4-staff, the urns, the heals, and his play, stealing spells like that Wall of Replica is going to be crucial come late game. We'll see him looking to maybe probably steal that, or even something like the Static
they
Storm.
have a Diffusal Blade. It's up on Ice. The fight breaks out. BKBs everywhere, and their mothers all having them too. Freedom, the Static Storm was perfect. The Kinetic Field caught nothing, however, but it's enough. They're defending. This is looking rather bad, although the Storm comes back to life. Aegis has been expended. Now once King. Storm doing the big physical DPS, not XY. Now XY's out of mana. He could be in trouble. In comes Ken. XY still strength morphing. Has nothing left. 15 wand charges up. When it's all said and done, they defend the high ground. The wall was deployed. The tower's still alive. This is starting to get a little bit frustrating, I think, for MUFC.
It is getting frustrating, but I don't think they start worrying yet. Leshrac and Storm, the 2 key heroes, not dying. They've got Leshrac with 14 Bloodstone charges, Storm Spirit now up to 9 charges. So it's still fights which they don't win, but they don't lose them. They get some Bloodstone charges. Now they're going to chip away at this tier 3 tower, and all those ultimates, the ES, the Darkseer ultimates are on cooldown. XY just goes running in, and he actually may have overextended here. The silences, he could get burst down. He does get burst down. Buys back. He's just sort of running in, knowing he had buyback to try stall this push and prevent this tier 3 tower from going down. Ken going to take a fall here with the buyback from XY. Pops a BKB, trying to TP out. The right-click damage is enough. XY gets a kill, and I think MUFC are okay with these trades.
Look at that respawn time. 10 seconds, and then Leshrac is going to be back in business. So That also makes it hard for Zenith to turn a win into an actual push. Kane might get caught. Ohio is out of mana, but he's got the Bloodstone. He'll have the pull soon. Kane trying to TP out. There's the pull. Now the Static Remnant and the Silence to Fall. Look at that Bloodstone regen and the Orchid on top of it, but just not quite enough. Needed maybe 300 more mana to secure that kill. Now 10. Net lurks on the high ground. He's got the epicenter. If they group up, this could be pretty bad news. There is a pipe. And it looks like they're going to... Nice positioning from Zenith. Just staying back. Let Morphling take the tower. Don't group up for a big epi. And they do finally get a tower, which, you know, they have 3, but it's been a while since they took one.
Yeah, luckily for Zenith, Storm... Well, they knew Storm wasn't there. If Storm is mana and HP, he can go in there with the epicenter. Morphling's playing very dangerous. He's on 1 string. He can easily get burst down. A blink stun from a Sand King followed up with some burst damage from Storm Spirit. They can kill him. They can chain stun him before he gets off a BKB. So he needs to be careful with how low strength he's sitting on right now. I'm feeling uncomfortable for XY here, and I don't know how he's feeling pretty confident about this, but we'll see how it works out. He is very squishy if he can't get that BKB off, and there are sheep sticks coming up as well soon on the Sand King.
Right, and you know, again, we talked about how Storm can use items and cast spells while he's zipping in. Zip in and cast that Hex while you're flying. It makes it really hard to actually avoid getting caught out of position. And he goes again onto Ice, looking for that kill. Silence is there. He can't... Oh, he will purge off the Silence, but maybe not enough anyway. One more auto attack. Ohio is just zipping and zapping all over the place, and he is making it work.
Yeah, this is the one hero that MUFC can basically use as a late game carry, and a late game carry that doesn't have to worry about the Darkseer ultimate. If it's something like your anti-mage, your faceless void, walking into that Darkseer wall, providing an illusion is devastating. But Storm Spirit is just a perfect hero for picking off little heroes and picking off heroes who split push, which is how Zenith play. They love to sort of spread the map, go for the split push. Storm Spirit will punish that. And we're just going to keep on seeing Ohio look to get those pickoffs. It's
sort of the late game version of the Night Stalker, right? You know, we see IG just punish you in the lanes. MUFC are punishing the split push, but it has that same effect. Control the map, restrict the opponent's area to farm, and if they leave that area, you kill them.
Yeah, no, it really is a powerful tool, especially with this much farm. If you get shut down, your late game can be pretty disappointing. But this Storm Spirit, up to 2.4k of gold already, has a Void Stone. It is going to be, I can only imagine, a Sheep Stick as the next item.
Yeah, he's Kane has a VKB as well, so I guess that's good news. He can't be initiated upon as easily, most likely anyway. Yeah. But they need a Hex. They need a Hex. I know I sound like a broken record, but the only way they're winning a fight is if MUFC just horribly overextend, which they have so much margin for error. It's really horribly overextend. Basically means diving the fountain.
And here we go, Storm Spirits. He's diving in at top. He's not going to find any kills here.
Glimpsed.
Oh, glimpse back in. Oh, glimpsed into a Static Remnant. X-Freedom. It's been the X-Freedom show this game so far for Zenith, keeping them in this game.
Wow, he's actually dead for 40 seconds. He had a ton of Bloodstone charges. He must be really high level. Blinking forward as Earthshaker. Has the Diffusal Blade. Now the Fissure. MUFC getting picked off. Buyback forced out from the Storm. Already could be big, but they're fighting without the Static Storm. Will it cost them? BKB up from XY. Not being affected at all by this damage, but can he do enough before that BKB wears off? It doesn't look like it. He's getting outlasted by Ken. Echo Slam was stolen. Gets thrown back the other way. Now Taker to be picked off, and who has buyback, because this is a team wipe, and it looks like nobody has it except for the lone disruptor. This might be Rex. This might be game.
If anyone can do it, it's X-Freedom, but unfortunately, I don't think he can do it alone. They're going to see Raxes at mid, Raxes at top. It's a full 30 seconds on the support heroes alone, and then looking at the solo heroes, the carry heroes, the heroes who can actually defend this, it's about 40 to 50 seconds. MUFC should be able to get all 3 sets of Raxes if they so choose here. There's no outer tower stopping them, and what a big team fight. Ohio decides to buy back. He's up in 20 seconds with the Blundstone charges. He didn't want to wait. And even with Omni Knight getting picked off before he casts off the Guardian Angel, they chain stunned him really well, Zenith, but it just wasn't enough. Ken with so much farm and so much damage being dealt with this Aghanim Scepter.
You know, we talked about the support play. Disruptor has been sensational, but there's only so much he can do without items. You look at the Sand King, there was a Hex there on the Morphling right as his BKB wore off, and that was it. Couldn't replicate away, couldn't do anything. Now the glimpse back in onto Rubik. Might get caught, or Frida might just pay with his own life. He will die, and that is not going to help them defend. Like you said, looks to be mega creeps. MUFC in prime position to take this game number 3, and it looks like we might just get our all-Malaysian showdown for the finals. Malaysia just dominating Southeast Asian Dota as of late. Zenith getting farmed at the fountain. Ken charging in. Now Ken maybe need to run away. There's that Guardian Angel. There's the dive onto Suwaman, and this should be the end for Zenith. Just nothing left of the tank.
Yeah, nothing left at all. They put up a hell of a fight. It's been an exciting 3 games. They really outplayed, outmaneuvered, and just had a superior strategy in game number 1. But hats off to MUFC coming back after dropping game number 1 with a convincing game 2. And game 3 wasn't easy for them. A big roller coaster ride, as you mentioned earlier on. But once the Storm Spirit got rolling, and with a couple big epicenters coming out of net on this Sand King, it just suddenly MUFC, it looked a bit easier for them in the late game. They just had the lane momentum. They had everything pushed out, and they had much greater control of the map. And they didn't give Zenith the farm needed on heroes like Tinker. They mentioned the BKB. He just needed a sheep stick at some point and could never get that farm.
You know, this was really impressive from MUFC. Not because they beat Zenith, although that is impressive, but GoDz, they won a game in the late game. They made better decisions. They picked a lineup that could control the map, but then it came down to executing well in the late game. And you know, when we analyzed MUFC, when we talked about them in G1, we talked about a lineup that's aggressive early, that wins games in the laning stage. This was a game they did well in the laning stage, but they won this in the late game, and that's got to be an encouraging sign when you go up against a team like Orange in the finals in GEST Dota 2, because guess what? Orange almost never gives up the game in the laning stage. They are almost always going to take it late, and you got to be able to stand with them. You got to be able to trade blows with them, and this MUFC team showing signs that they might be able to do it.
Yeah, MUFC versus Orange showdowns are always fair. A bit of a slight grudge match between the two teams just because of how much history there is between them. They've had so many big-scale matches, so many finals meetups as well, and this is just another one here in the GEST. We're going to see MUFC and Orange battle it out again for the finals. Best of 5 matchup tomorrow night, and, well, that's going to be a lot of fun. And MUFC got bested last time in the G1 League by Orange, and Orange are just in such amazing form. They've got to be favorites going into it, but MUFC are just have that slight bit of unpredictability about them.
Right, and Orange, you know, we're also, again, for Orange, it's not just about that match. It's also, it's preparation, it's training, and it's, you know, a proving grounds, perhaps, to a certain extent. What can they do? Can they build some momentum going into G1 League? You gotta figure Ice will be standing in for them, even if it's under KYXY's name, and it's probably not a whole lot the admins could do about it if that's the case, and it's going to be some practice for them, but unfortunately, Ice's Singaporean squad, they will be knocked out of the event. It's MUFC who take the series 2-1. Started off slow, but ended on a bang, ended on a high note. MUFC do it. They finally win a big match versus a Southeast Asian rival, and they haven't really done it in, you know, in a couple of weeks here. So important win for them. They move on to the into the grand finals rather of this GEST Dota 2, where they will be facing off against Orange Esports. It's all Malaysia all the time, aside from Ice, but he's there now, so we'll call him a bit of an honorary Malaysian. Ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap it up for today's broadcast. We will try and get the VODs out for you as quickly as possible. If you missed any of today's games, they will be available for free on Twitch. If you prefer YouTube, they will be available there as well. YouTube.com/GoDz Studios, YouTube.com/LDDota. If you enjoyed our casting, of course, be sure to follow GoDz. Facebook, Twitter.com/GGNetGods. Follow myself as well if you like my casting. Facebook, Twitter.com/LDDota. And more importantly, I think, big shout out, big thanks to Dota Talk and to GEST, to Gigabyte, the sponsors of this tournament. DotaTalk.com, Facebook.com/Dota Talk. They provide tons of coverage, and they've been really the people behind the scenes organizing this event. So big shout out to them, big thanks to them, and hopefully we'll see more events from them in the future, as well as GEST, as Gigabyte. If you want to support them, Facebook.com/GEST Dota 2. That will wrap it up for today's coverage. We will be back tomorrow, and we will be bringing you an all-Malaysian SmackDown grudge match, as GoDz called it. It will be MUFC versus Orange. Until then, this is LD and GoDz, signing off.